Hey guys, welcome back. It's Miss Cassidy again. So, just like every day, we start in our notebooks with our heading, which consists of our name, be it your first and last name or your complete name, that's your choice, date, grade, and section. Below that, you are going to write down your objective and your I can statement. Our objective for class today is to analyze how a character's motivations influence plot, which is the plot in the story. And our I can statement is I can annotate and answer questions to the story. In case anyone has forgotten what the term annotate means, it means underline, circle, or highlight information. Now remember, if you need time to jot this down in your notebooks, you can press pause or you can simply rewind. Now let's get into the topic at hand. We're going to go over first our critical vocabulary. As you can see, these words are not the same as your academic vocabulary, which you guys have an assignment to do within your word network. The words we have for our critical vocabulary are diagnostics, retract, reintegrate, consternation, ample, abode, chafe, and vindictive. So what you're going to see is, to see how many critical vocabulary words you already know, you have to answer these questions. Now you can see in your textbook the critical vocabulary, and you're going to have about 5 to 6 questions depending on how many vocabulary words you have. In this case, I believe we have, let's make sure, we have 8. So you're going to have 8 questions where they're using the critical vocabulary in the question, and based on that answer, we'll be able to tell if you guys already recognize these words and their correct meaning and usage. So if you don't have enough space in your textbooks to answer these questions, my advice to you is use your notebook to write only answers. And then when you're finished with the assignment, you can upload it to your Google Classroom or send it directly to my email. Okay, now we're going to go to the next part, which is the story itself. The name of our story is The Brave Little Toaster, and it was written by Cory Doctorow. The genre of the story is science fiction. So since we've mentioned right now the author, we're going to learn a little bit more about him now and read, like I said, a little bit more about him so we can know who he is. All right, background information on the author of The Brave Little Toaster. His name is Cory Doctorow. He was born in 1971. He is a journalist, a blogger, and the author of many works of science fiction. His young, his young adult novels include Homeland, Pirate Cinema, and the award-winning Little Brother, which was also adapted for the stage. That means that they were turned into plays. Okay, so they're not only books, but they've been turned into plays. His other works include graphic novels, essays, and short stories. Doctorow was born in Toronto, Canada, and lives in Los Angeles. In addition to his other pursuits, he works for the Electronic Frontier Foundation, which aims to protect freedom in technology law and policies. Now we're going to talk about setting a purpose. As you read, think about the role that technology plays in this story. Note details about Mr. Toussaint's interactions with certain devices and how he is motivated to respond so. Now remember, we saw this in an earlier class. Notice and note will always be in the story because we have to look for those 3 key signposts. So as you read, notice and note the signposts in the text. Now we go through paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And once you're done reading those, you'll come to your very first signpost. In this case, the first signpost that you have is contrast and contradictions. So a quick review. Remember that contrast and contradictions is the signpost where you see the characters are different or acting differently than they commonly do. So that's where you contrast and contradict the character. It says, notice and note. Which details in paragraph 1 to 5 contrast with your own experiences and expectations? Highlight these details. After you've done your notice and note, you draw conclusions based on that. Based on these details, what do you think is the setting of this story? And again, if you feel you don't have enough room in your textbooks, word of advice, use your notebooks. Okay, after you've seen that first signpost, you will keep reading and you'll come to paragraph 6, 7, 8, and 9. And as you can see in this paragraph specifically, we have what you call one of our critical vocabulary words. Okay, paragraph 7, 8, and 9. And when you get to paragraph 9, you're going to analyze the story's plot because the plot has been presented to you, and now it's time for us to break that down and really understand what the plot is in the story. Annotate. Reminder, annotate means to underline, circle, or highlight information. Notice what Mr. Toussaint does with Looney Gooney in paragraph 9. Highlight details in paragraphs 6 to 8 that explain why he does this. And after you're done annotating, you can infer with that information what conflict is Mr. Toussaint facing in this story. And you write it in your textbooks. Again, you don't have enough space? Take notes in your notebook. After we've analyzed the plot, you will find yourself in paragraph 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. When you're done with paragraph 14, you have another signpost. Our second signpost in the story is again and again. Just by its name, you should remember that this signpost refers to the fact that something is constantly repeated in the text, or you are constantly reminded of the same subject over and over again. Notice and note. What pattern do you notice in Mr. Toussaint's actions? Underline and highlight words that show that pattern. Once you're done doing your signposts of again and again, you can take that information and analyze answering this question. How do Mr. Toussaint's repeated actions create tension in the plot or make you eager to see what will happen next? So you analyze that and you write your answer in your textbook or notebook if you feel you don't have enough space. When we come to paragraph 15, you'll see that we have an image of what Mr. Toussaint's kitchen looks like. Then you come to paragraph 16, which again, I'll bring your attention to the fact that we have 1 and 2 of your critical vocabulary words. Paragraphs 17, 18, 19, and 20. When you get to paragraph 20, it's time to analyze the science fiction in the story. Remember, that's the genre for this short story. Excuse me. Now it's time again to annotate. You will highlight details in paragraphs 18 to 20 that show what happens when Mr. Toussaint tries to dispose of Looney Gooney on the way to work. Once you have annotated that information, then you use that information to analyze and answer the following 2 questions. Why are the police waiting for him at the train station? And what ideas about technology are suggested by these events? Take your time, analyze, and write down your answer in your textbook or in your notebook. Then you come to paragraph 21, 22, and 23. And again, if you take a close look as you read, you'll see that in 23, paragraph 23, we have again another critical vocabulary word. Actually 2, to be more specific. We have 2 critical vocabulary words. You come to paragraph 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29. And again, take a look. In paragraph 28, another critical vocabulary word, and in paragraph 29 as well. When you make it to paragraph 29, you'll see your final signposts. which is the aha moment. Now remember when we talked about the aha moment in class. The aha moment refers to a moment in which the character realizes something. It could be the solution to a problem, it could be the problem itself, or he can even find an answer which helps both sides of the issue. Also, remember we referred to aha moment with another word. Does anyone remember what that word is? That's right, an epiphany. An aha moment can be an epiphany, the moment the character realizes something. Notice and note, what words and phrases in paragraph 29 suggest that Mr. Toussaint is having an aha moment? Highlight these words and phrases. Once you've completed your notice and note, you can use that information to now focus on cause and effect. Again, another topic we reviewed in class. Remember, what is cause and what is effect? The cause is the why and the effect is the what. And remember, cause and effect doesn't necessarily have to go in that order in a sentence. You can have the cause first and the effect after. You can have the effect first or the cause after. The order doesn't really matter. You just have to be able to recognize which is the why and which is the what. Cause and effect. What does Mr. Toussaint suddenly realize, and how does this affect what he does next? Again, take your time, think about it, and write your answer in your textbook or in your notebook. And then we come to the last few paragraphs, which is 30, 31, and 32. And you'll notice that in paragraph 31, we have our very last critical vocabulary word. Now guys, word of advice, always reread the instructions to make sure you don't get lost. For example, in this aha moment, it specifically says that you have to look for the information in paragraph 29. So that's where you will look for the information. And you're going to notice that in every one of these, they give you specifics of what paragraphs or which paragraphs you need to look for that information. Okay? So make sure to reread your instructions, reread your questions, reread everything so you don't make a mistake. Again, here you can see an analyzing plot, and in stories, you can see that they specifically say which paragraphs you need to look for the information. Here again, in contrast and contradictions, same instructions, follow them to a key, read them again in case you feel you're getting lost, and make sure you take your time. All right, guys, well, that's it for me today. Hope you enjoyed the class. Can't wait to see you next time. Bye.